right, now last night we heard from Technology Management Professor David Walwyn, who spoke about some of the solutions for Eskom as we face more rolling power cuts this week. One of the points he made was that renewables need to be brought online faster and integrated properly with our dynamic energy mix that we have in this country. Well, this week, COP26 President and British MP Alok Sharma is in South Africa. He's looking at ways to support our country's just energy transition. Of course, that was announced at COP26, the Global Climate Change Conference, which took place in Scotland last year. One of the visits has involved inspecting Eskom's Komati power station. They're looking at how to repurpose the plant for green energy. Well, he joins us now. Mr. Sharma, thank you very much for your time. So just tell me a little bit more about what you've been doing in South Africa and what you're seeing.
Well, Sally, thank you very much for having me on your program. I've had a really good visit. It's my first visit to South Africa. I've had an opportunity to meet with 7 cabinet ministers to discuss the Just Energy Transition Partnership, which was announced at COP26, as you said. I've had an opportunity to go to Komati to see some of the work that is ongoing there in terms of repurposing that power plant to allow green energy to be produced. And I've also had an opportunity to talk to miners and members of trade unions, to talk to them about what a just transition means. So it's been a very productive session, and I can tell you that following the ministerial discussion that we've had, we've agreed to redouble our efforts in terms of the Just Energy Transition Partnership that a number of countries have together with South Africa, and with the aim of making some very concrete further progress by the time we get to COP27 in November.
Talk to me about the discussions you've had with people who work in the coal industry, because there's real fear that they're going to lose their job as we make this transition to green energy. And in South Africa, we have, as you know, a massive unemployment problem. Can it be done without losing a single job?
Well, I think the first thing to say is, and this was the point that I made to the miners that I met, is that this is about a transition. It's literally what it says. This is not about flicking a switch on or off overnight. This is a process that will take a number of years. And of course, I completely understand that for them, this is also about lives and livelihoods. So what we need to ensure as part of the work that we do collectively with the South African government is that individuals who are moving out of one sector into another sector are indeed supported in terms of jobs. And I think there's a real opportunity for job creation here in terms of the clean energy sector, in terms of the electric vehicle sector, in terms of hydrogen. All of that, of course, is very exciting, but we need to ensure that we do this in a manner that we protect people's jobs, we support them with reskilling, with upskilling. Some of them will have skills which are transferable to the new sectors, but where they're not, they need to get the right support.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing you say is that it is indeed possible to secure the current jobs, provided people are retrained into these new, greener energy positions. Are you seeing enough on the table from the South African side that there are positive signs of progress, that we're moving in the right direction, or has nothing been done yet?
No, I think we've had a lot of work that's been done, and of course South Africa itself domestically has been setting out its own plans in terms of a transition. What will be set out very shortly is an update from the task team that's been appointed, which sets it's an update to leaders, setting out the level of progress that's been made. And as I said, I had a very constructive discussion with ministers today, and there is a lot of work going on in terms of an investment plan, which will form the basis of the projects into which the funds that are being made available will flow. I think there is a real desire for momentum. But at the end of the day, this is about the developed countries supporting South Africa, which is leading on its own transition, which ultimately is going to be in charge of the investment plan. And it is about ensuring that funding is being made available to support those projects which are going to make that green transition as part of the South African economy.
So we heard from COP26 that there were pledges from the Just Energy Transition partners. South Africa will get a certain amount of money to make this possible. We also now know that you've announced a further £1.5 million, if I'm not mistaken. Talk to me about the money that's going to come to South Africa, whether any of it has landed here yet, and what the conditions are.
Well, what we announced at COP26 was $8.5 billion worth of support. Of course, what we need to ensure is that we have the projects that the money will flow into, and that's been part of the discussion that I've had today in terms of the investment plan that is being prepared right now. But it's also worth pointing out that it is going to need a substantial amount of funds to see South Africa through to a full transition in its economy to a green economy. And of course, there are other developed nations as well which want to join the partnership. There's of course a private sector, there are philanthropies. So there is a lot of funding with a lot of interest in South Africa as a major global economy. But what we have to ensure is that we do this in a systematic way. Sure. And that's why we've had this discussion about accelerating work on an investment plan.
So am I right that no money has as yet come to South Africa because certain projects have to be signed off?
Well, what we had at COP26 was the political declaration, and I think it was always understood that what we would then do over the coming months is actually to work up a detailed investment plan to then look to see which funds would flow to individual projects, and that's the work that is ongoing right now.
All right, so no money as yet, it's the preparation stages, is that correct?
Yes, as I said, we are there's work going on the investment plan, and the funding will flow into the projects that are part of it.
Okay, I want to get a sense from you on, we know that South Africa's got quite a diverse energy mix. We spoke to a professor yesterday who believes that we need to push renewables into the system much quicker than we are, which could actually help deal with our load shedding problem. You went to Komati, the power station, which I believe is being repurposed and turned into a green power station. I would imagine that makes sense because those lines of connection to the grid are already there. Just talk me through what it's going to look like and how long it's going to take and how much it's going to cost.
Well, first thing to say that, of course, South Africa has a significant potential in terms of renewables, in terms of wind, in terms of solar, and I think that's something that is, very well recognized. You've also seen the price of these technologies fall significantly over the last 10 years, and again, that was part of the discussion that I had at Komati. They're working up a set of detailed plans at Komati in terms of the transition that they want to make, and that, of course, includes ensuring that they're also developing off-grid solutions in terms of renewables, so that areas of the country which may not be connected to grid also get that support. But as I said, there is a detailed amount of work that is ongoing in Komati, and what we want to do is in a holistic way support through the investment plan projects where we can see this acceleration in renewables. And I think, as you said, we have a dynamic economy in South Africa, and of course, as a result of the load shedding that goes on, that does have a negative impact in terms of holding back the growth of GDP, and that's why it's vitally important that we accelerate the push to renewables. And I just say to you that this isn't just a South African issue. I mean, this is something that is going on around the world. In the UK, we have published our own energy security strategy. It's all about, over the next 8.5 years, having 5 times as much offshore wind as we've got, 5 times as much solar, big push on nuclear, big push on
global
hydrogen.
Challenge. I have to ask you very quickly, I know that you've met with ministers. Did you meet our Energy Minister, Gwede Mantashe? Did you experience any resistance from him? Because one of the criticisms against him is that he's moved far too slowly on renewables. Do you pick up any resistance to moving our country to greener forms of energy?
Well, I met with some ministers, and Minister Mantashe was a part of that grouping. We had a very constructive discussion. It was a full, frank, and friendly discussion in terms of how we move forward. The one thing is very clear to me as part of that ministerial discussion is that South Africa as a government is fully committed to a green transition. What we need to ensure is that we are providing practical support as part of that transition, and that's what the Just Energy Transition Partnership is all about.
All right. Well, thank you so much for giving us an update. We certainly hope when COP27 comes around in November, South Africa can report some real positive steps forward towards that just transition. Thank you very much for your time. Of course, that was Alok Sharma. He's the COP26 president. He's also a British MP. He's been visiting South Africa this week.